सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. So, Om Namo Narayana to all the Swamis physically present here and who are listening to this particular talk. And Supreme Narayana Smaran to all the devotees present here. Yesterday we have discussed from sloka 1 to 5 of Vivekacūḍāmaṇi what was the need for this Praharana Granthi to be written by Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavan. As well as later on we have heard Vishaya Vairagyam, that was from sloka 76 to 78. But what about the slokas which were in between? If someone asks Swamiji, I want to know what have come in Vivekacūḍāmaṇi. You see, after the fifth sloka, it is detailed the information about how should be a guru, what are the characteristics of a disciple, then what is sadhana chatushraya. All these things are mentioned. Going to the 51st sloka, it is said that koaso anatma, the disciple asks. Even yesterday while we were discussing, it was said atma anatma vivechanam. What is atma and what is anatma? That vivechanam. So this is asked by the disciple in 51st sloka, saying koaso anatma paramaha kaha atma tayor vivekah kathameta jucchesam. So this is asked by the disciple, what is atma, what is anatma, how should I differentiate between them? And then the guru appreciates the disciple into further shlokas. Just like when you go to Kathopanishad, when Nachiketa has asked a question to Yamaraja that I want to know, some people they say there is something when this mortal body, when this Panchamahabhuta Bhautika Sharira, this gross body is destroyed. As we were speaking yesterday, it is with these 6 defects. And once it is cremated or whatever the last rites which are done according to their own custom, tradition and religion, then he says, Nachiketa, astiti chaike. Some people they do say that there exists something. Nayam astiti chaike. Some they say there does not remain anything. Then I am confused in this. So you should tell me. That was the question of Nachiketa. Then what happens? Immediately instead of answering the question, what does Lord Dharmaraja, he says, he starts praising that I have not seen a disciple like you at such a young age and all these things, lot of praises he does for Nachiketa. Then what does he say, Lord Dharmaraja? He says, this Vidya is very mysterious, even Devatas, they are unable to understand. In the same way, when a proper question is put in front of a guru, the guru is so happy that at least this disciple, he knows and he is walking the path of moksha, the liberation from this very cycle of birth and death. So in the same way, here also Guru appreciates the disciple starting from further shlokas, and then the Guru says, Yad bodhavyam tava idanim, what has to be known by you now, idanim, atma anatma vivechanam. This has come in the initial itself, yesterday we were discussing. And taduchyate maya samyak shrutva atmani avadharaya. So I will be telling you properly in detail. And after listening to it, you keep it in your mind, never forget this particular vidya. Shrutva samyak atmani avadharaya. Then further shlokas, the Guru, he starts about Vishaya Vairagyam, etc. So this particularly goes up to shloka number 90. Then at 98th shloka, the Guru starts saying about the sthula sharira, that is this gross body which we were discussing yesterday, that it gets destroyed. And in few of the shlokas, the Guru continues about the gross body. Then 95th shloka, the Guru starts about the subtle body. If here, those who are a Vedanta student and those who are attending the online classes of the Swamis and etc., that's good. But if I ask someone how many bodies are there, what will people say? What are you talking, Swamiji? This is the body which you are seeing. That is not the case. There are 3 bodies for each and everybody. The gross body which can be seen. Then there is subtle body, and then there is causal body, that is Karana Sharira. Sthula Shukshma and Karana Sharira. So Sthula Sharira, it discusses by the process of quantification, that is division by 5, that is earth, water and all these things from Shloka 90. Then at 95, he starts saying, all this I am saying because our topic it is 108. But before going to Maya Nirupanam, the first 2 shlokas are pertaining to Atma. When you go to shloka number 108, you will be saying that this particular shloka is pertaining to the Atma. So now you will see that the things, the material objects are enjoyed. Who is getting that bliss or joy or happiness of the objects being enjoyed? How to explain that? If you don't have the base, normally what happens? Vivekacūḍāmaṇi is studied by shloka after shloka after shloka. But here, whatever was the important topic, that was selected, because we cannot complete the whole Vivekacūḍāmaṇi with all the shlokas. So, to go to the 108 shloka, we need some connection with the previous shlokas. So, that is what this is. So, shloka number 95, it is said, Nigadyate antahakaranam mano dhihi ahankritis chittamiti svavrittibihi. You see, while discussing about the subtle body, 5 are organs of action, 5 are organs of senses, those are 10, and 5 are pranas, that is prana, apana, udana, samana and vyana. Each one of them has its own function. We are not going to go in much detail of it here, but these are 15 which are consisting, which are making the subtle body. But what remains? The mind remains, which is of 4. Again, it has been divided into 4 different parts. That is called manaha. That is mind. Buddhi. Buddhi is intellect. Ahankara. Ahankara is the I. And Chittam. Chittam is the storage house, consciousness, you can say, the memory. Wherever you are recalling all these things, whatever you have heard yesterday, where is it coming from? It is coming from Chittam. So, sometimes we do say, in Hindi as well as in Sanskrit, when a person is not paying attention, what do we say? Where is your Chitta? That means what? He is not paying attention or something. So, Chitta is the memory storage house. According to its function, the mind itself has been said in this 4. So, previously we have calculated how many? 15. 5 organs of actions. As you say, hasta, pani, pada, payo, upastha. These are 5 organs of actions. Then, organs of senses, that is jnanendriya, through which you are hearing, tasting, seeing, all these things are organs of senses. That is 5 pranas, and this 4. Ekona vinshati tattva, it is called 19, 1 less than 20, Ekona vinshati. So this constitutes, this makes the subtle body, that is 19 elements. Mandukya Upanishad says very beautifully about it, anyhow. So, Svavrittibihi, according to its own function, these are into 4 different types, it has been said. Manastu sankalpa vikalpadhi. What is the function of the mind? Oscillation, undecisiveness, sankalpa vikalpa. Should I go to Vailopalli Satsang Bhavan or not? Oh, let me sleep for a while. So this kind of thoughts which are coming, that is in the mind. Then what happens? The Buddhi says, no, we should go because the Mahatmas have come from very far away. and we should definitely listen. Today is Sunday, no problem, we can spare some time. When you reach to this particular decision, it is of the buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. Then whatever from the morning you are doing I, that is pertaining to ahankara. Ahankara means what? Ahankartavyam iti ahankara. Saying I. So that particular thing. So Lord Krishna says, ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. That is altogether a different thing, where that person who does not know the absolute reality of the mind, intellect, ahankara, etc., he assumes, he thinks that I am the doer. That's so, and buddhi padartha vidya saitha. In this way, then this chittam, as we have told, that is the memory storage house. So this was 95. Now coming to 101. These are the shlokas which are going to touch 108 before we start our today's topic. So these are necessary to discuss. Coming to 101, it is said, Dhimatraka upadhir asesha shakshi na lipyate tat krita karma lepai. Now you see, when I ask you that in the light of the sun, that sun which rises every day and which is giving the light to all the beings who are on the earth. There are some beings which are in the ocean so deep that the sun rays does not go. That's a different thing. But to all the beings who are on the earth, face of earth, and the sun rises, all the tasks which are performed in the light of the sun, if some good deeds are performed, will the sun get any merits of those good deeds? Or if some sins are performed, will the sun get any bad results about those bad deeds? No. It is happening just here in the mere presence of the sun. So it is said, Suryo yatha sarvalokasya chakshur na lipyate chakshushair bahya doshahi. Just like the sun is the eye of the whole world, but it does not get tainted by the actions performed in its mere presence. Whether you perform the good deeds, whether you perform the bad deeds, it's not at all even a single percentage, it is tainted. Ekas tatha sarva bhutantaratma na lipyate loka dukkhena bhayya. In the very same way, this Atman which is reflected in this body. Now, before moving to the Maya Nirupanam, we'll first know what is Atma. Yesterday, as we were discussing, Atma Anatma Vivechanam. And here in the sloka of 51, the disciple has also asked, what is Atman, what is Anatman? You see, when you see the sloka word, it's very easy. When I say Anatma, what do you understand? That which is not Atman is called Anatma. Even when you see, it's a negative compound in Sanskrit. That which is not Atma is Anatma. If a teacher in a class, he says that leaving this particular subject or particular topic, rest none of this is coming into the exam. So what do you think, what do? You study only that particular subject or that particular topic, lesson you can say. Rest everything what you do, you leave it. In the same way, to forego what is Anatman, you need to know what is Atma. Then only you will leave, apart from the Atman, whatever it is not, that you will forego. That is called Anatma. So, what is then Atma? That we will be discussing when we will reach there. But it is said, Yachapnoti Yadadatte Yachati Vishayaniha Yachasya Asti Santato Bhavaha Atmeti Kirtyate. That which pervades everything. There is nothing, a single molecule or even subtle than the molecule that which is not pervaded by the Atman. Everything what you are seeing, even a grain of sand and subtle than that, everything is pervaded by the Atman. Yacha apnoti. Yada datte, everything is reabsorbed by that all-pervading consciousness. Yada datte. Yachati vishyan iha. and whatever material objects are being enjoyed, you see, there are only two things in this world. One is inert, one is consciousness. So, is the house for the sake of house or for the person who is staying inside the house? Inert matter cannot be for the sake of inert. It is for the consciousness. But you have to be very, very careful. Here, enjoyment or this material object's bliss is not to be misunderstood that the Atma is enjoying. It is Nitya Ananda Swarupaha. So that you have to be very careful. So this is the lakshana of Atma. Yachapnoti yadadatte yachasi atti vishyanyaha yachasya santato bhavaha. If I ask you, many of them are carrying pen or watch or all these things I am seeing. You see, each and every object has 5 qualities. That is asti, bhati, priya and nama and rupa. Existence, knowledge, bliss, name and form. These are the 5 things each and every object has. So first 3 belongs to the Brahman, last 2 belongs to the creation or sansara or maya, whatever you say. So, yachasya asti santato bhavaha. There is never an absence of the Atman. It always remains prior to the creation, after the dissolution. So you can think it is already covered everything by the Atman and it is always remaining. Yachasti santato bhavaha. Coming back to this particular shloka, Suryo yatha sarvalokasya chakshur lipyate na chakshushe bahya doshe. It does not get tainted by all the actions performed, whether good nor bad. Just like the sun, in the very same way, ekas tatha sarva bhutantaratma. This Atma is one, it is non-dual. Ekas tatha sarva bhutantaratma. Where is it? It is dwelling in each and everything, not only each and every one, but each and everything. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshi arjuna tishtari brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. Just like in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has said that this Ishvara is inside of each and every being and controlling them. So the very meaning of the word Ishvara is Isha Sasane, one who controls everything is called. Na lipyate loka dukkhena vayah, does not get tainted by any external sorrow, grief, pain or anything. Just like in Vedanta, this is a very, very famous example. The pots which are filled with water, and if they are having a reflection of sun or moon, if there is a pot which is broken, anything does, that is called pratibimba, the reflection. Does any change come into the bimba, the original? Whether you add one more pot filled with water, or you remove one pot filled with water, or you throw away the water, destroy the pot, does any change come in the original bimba? In the same way, in its mere presence, all these things are happening. In Vedanta, Atma is said Rajavat, just like the king is present and all the actions are happening by its own, by the mere presence. In the very same way, you have to understand. So coming to the 101, Dhimatraka upadhir asesha shakshi. Then how are you saying that if you are saying this Atman is all-pervading consciousness, then how come it reflects in this individual body? Then it reflects into the intellect. Previously, what have we said? We have said that there are 4 parts imagined of this mind itself according to its function. So here, the all-pervading consciousness is being reflected in the buddhi. So that particular individual, the one who is experiencing the individuality, each and everyone, yesterday we have discussed, if you remember. If you have forgotten, then we are here to remind you. What have we said? How far does your eye go? If I ask you, how far does your eye go? You say, the Simita Paridhi Matra, it is called. As long as this body, gross body is said, so far the I, individuality, goes. So that is called Vijnanamaya Purushaha, that which is being reflected on Buddhi and with the individual I, that is called Vijnanamaya Purushaha. Dhimatra Upadhi. Upadhi is what? Limitations. What was the Upadhi limitation in the reflection? The pots filled with water. The sun or the moon remains always. But when do you see the reflection? When you keep the pot filled with water, then only you will be seeing the reflection. If any one of it, you keep the pot but not the water, will you be seeing a reflection? No. But if there is a water but not the pot, so there will be no depth, you may not be able to see the reflection, but still it is possible. So that, what is the limitation here? The water is the limitation for the reflection. If there is no water, there is no reflection. In the same way, this individuality depends on what? As long as you have this reflection on the mind, Vijnanamaya Purushaha. Vijnayate anena iti Vijnanaha. Through which what you are experiencing this individuality, it's called Vijnanamaya Purushaha. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, they have explained this in very, very detailed way. It's a beautiful narration over there. So, Ashesha Shakshi, and actually you see what happens. It will further come when we'll be discussing about the Atman. What happens? It is inside the body, is just a mere reflection, and it remains as the Kutastha. It remains just like a witness. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha. It is just a mere witness. It is consciousness, not inert. Cheta Kevalaha. There is nothing apart from the all-pervading consciousness which is reflecting in the mind. There is only one tattva in Vedanta, that is Brahman, all-pervading consciousness. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha. There are no qualities. It is qualityless, Nirguna. So, in the same way, Na lipyate tat karma lepai, and it does not get tainted by all the actions being performed by this body. Only through it the actions are being performed. Further it will come that kohi evanyat kah pranyat yadyesha akasha anando nasyad. You see what happens in this antahakarana. This is the internal organ which we are talking about. The four parts, man, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. It's combinedly called as antahakarana. So in this antahakarana, there is a space of this particular thumb, and it is called Hridi Akasha. In this particular space, Akasha, inside the heart, Hridya Akasha. Inside the Hridaya, it's called Hridi Akasha. There is the reflection. If there is no such reflection, who is able to even survive or breathe? It is said, and that very nature of that is Ananda, bliss. Yesterday we have discussed in Ananda Mimamsa. If you go back to Taittiriya Valli, Ananda Mimamsa, we have discussed the amount of bliss. When we were discussing about Paramananda, if you remember, we have discussed in Taittiriya. Then here it is said, Kohi evanyad, there is no other being, no other element apart from that Brahman, kaha pranyad. And who is able to sustain apart from that? Yadi esha akasha anando nasyat. Going back to the Kenopanishad, there comes a very famous story that there was a war between the good and bad. You can say the deities and the demons. It always goes on even inside the human body if you see daily. So again and again and again I am saying, the stories are not for the sake of stories. There is a lesson behind each and every story. You need to understand that. So what happens in Kenopanishad? The war has been won over by the deities. Then they are rejoicing, saying, Asmakamevayam vijayo, asmakamevayam vaham. So we have won over the war and this victory belongs to us. Then there appears a mysterious object in front of them. It is called Yaksha. Yaksha in Sanskrit by Bhagwan Bhashikara, Adi Shankaracharya has written a commentary that it is very auspicious, Pujaniyatamaha. that appears in front of these deities. What was the need to appear? You see, it has come in many, many instances. When there is a devotee, it will come in the story of Narada also, which we will be covering. When a devotee, sometime by somehow the prarabdha karma comes, and if he gets an ego that I am the doer, what happens? Immediately Lord appears to destroy that ego. Otherwise, he will fall down in the great pit. There is no coming back. That is what Lord Krishna said, ahankara vimudatma karta ahamiti manyate. So that has to be destroyed. So what happens? This yaksha appears in front of them. Then the Indra, king of the deities, sends one of the deities, that is Agni or first Vayu. Then they send and they says, go and inquire what is that kimetad yakshamiti. Go and inquire. Then this particular deity goes and says, Kosi, who are you? Then this yaksha asks the question, who are you to ask me? Don't you know me? I am the Vayu. What are you capable of doing? I can blow away everything, he says. Okay, then a blade of grass is kept in front of him. And they says, blow this blade of grass. Then sarva javena, with all its might, it tries to blow away. What happens? Tanna shashaka. It is not possible for that particular deity to blow away the blade of grass. Ashamed, coming back. Then sent another deity, that is Agni. The same question continues. Who are you? Arey, who are you to ask me who are you? Don't you know me? Jata Vedaha. I am the one who knows everything by birth. Don't you know me? He is having such an ego. Then he says, okay, what are you capable of doing it? I can burn everything. Okay, same exam. A blade of grass is kept and says, try to burn this. He, with all its might, is unable to burn. Again comes in a shame. Now the king himself, the Indra, goes. Indra has so much of ego, being the king of the deities, that Yaksha disappears there itself. Even it doesn't care about having a conversation with him, speaking with him, and disappears. Then Indra, being the king, he prays and all these things. Then in the very same place, Uma Haimavati Bahushobhamanam, she appears, the Divine Mother. The very form of the Brahma Vidya, she appears, and then she imparts the instructions and everything. So, Kohi evanyat, kah pranyat, coming back to the subject, if there is yadi esha akasha anando nasyal, if this is not the nature of all pervading consciousness, the ultimate bliss, without depending on any materialistic object, there is no possibility of anyone breathing, there is no possibility of anyone doing anything. Yadi esha akasho ananda nasyat. So, on 101, Dhi matraka upadhir asesha shakshi. That particular all-pervading consciousness is being reflected in the body. How it should be? It is just the witness, sakshi cheta kevalo nirgunascha. But what is happening? Because of our ignorance. What are we saying? I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. Kartri bhoktri swabhava rupam. We are having a misconception. There is two defects. One is tattva agrahanam and tattva anyatha grahanam. One is non-conception and one is misconception. So we are having the misconception of our own identity. What do we say? Aham manushyaha, aham sukhi, dukhi, marta, and all these things we superimpose. From last 2 days you are hearing the Brahma Sutras. Brahma Sutras are also called Shariraka Mimansa. Sharira is what? Just like Lord Krishna is called Vasudeva. Vasudevasya putraha Vasudeva. So in the same way, Sharire bhava Sharira, that which is inside the body, the story is of the one who is inside this gross body, who is inside this subtle body, is being reflected just like the reflection of the sun or moon. In the same way, in that you have already heard about the superimpositions. So that superimposition is just a mere work of Maya. We'll be going there, we'll be reaching there. Yasmad asangaha tateva karma birna lipyate. How can you say that it just remains a witness and does not get tainted? That is because it is non-attached to anything. Just like in the example we have seen, in the light of the sun, all the actions are being, but not the one who is hearing. Dharma. Nat vetturatmanaha. But these qualities does not belong, these defects does not belong to the one who is seeing or one who is hearing. Na vetturatmanaha. Then 107. Vishayanam anukulye sukhi dukhi viparyaye. Now, from last 2 days, you must have heard many times the word Vishaya. So, when I asked you what exactly is the meaning of the word Vishaya, it is that, first of all, each and every Sanskrit word comes from a root. So, when you see, it is called Shiya Bandhane. It nicely ties you in all this samsara. Samsaratiti samsara. You are on a slippery trajectory. You are going down and slow. It's called slippery. Samsaratiti samsara. And if you say prapancha, then it's called pachivistare. It is expanding and expanding. So, Shiya Bandhane, which is tying you. What is the solution? Asanga shastrena dridena chitta. Lord Krishna has said, you have to cut these ropes by the weapon of non-attachment. Asanga shastrena dridena chitta. Nicely. So, it is said, Vishyan Vishavatyajet. All these Vishayas which you are enjoying, which you are running behind every day, they should be left just like the poison. And Sukham Dukham cha tad dharma. So, if these Vishayas are convenient to you, then you feel the happiness. Vishayanam anukulya sukhi, dukhi tad viparyaye. Otherwise, what happens? You feel sorrow. And accordingly, Sukham Dukkham cha tad dharma. The happiness, sorrow is the attribute of antahakarana. Tad means what here? You have to say tad which is being spoken of in the previous shlokas, not the tattvamasi. From the previous shlokas. What is being discussed and going on? Of the antahakarana. So sukham dukkham cha tad dharma. The attribute, the qualities, the happiness and the sorrow are the qualities, the attributes belonging to the antahakarana, the inner organ. Sadanandasya na atmanaha. And it does not belong to the Atman which is always of the nature of the bliss. Sadanandasya atmanaha. Then it is said, the disciple goes to a guru and he says, please tell me about the Brahman. Then Brigurvai Varunehi Pitaram Upasasada. There is a son who is named Brigu, and he is the son of Varunasya Apatyam Varunihi. He goes to his father and requests him, please tell me about Brahman. Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Then what does the father reply? Anando Brahmeti Vyajanad. Anandyadheva khalu imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisavinshanti tad vijigyasasva tad brahma. This bliss is the nature, very nature of Brahman. If the very nature of the Brahman is bliss, how can you say that it gets tainted by happiness or sorrow? There is never a question. So you should understand who is experiencing the happiness and sorrow. It is the attribute of the antakarana but not of the Atman. So this was up to 107. Now we are coming to 108. Atmarthatvena hi preyan vishayo na swatah priyaha. Just like in the previously we have said, all these material objects are dear for the sake of the one who is experiencing them, but they are not for the sake of their own self. Exactly in the same way, just like the example given, the house is not for the sake of the house, but the one who stays inside that. Then, swatahevai sarvesham atma priyatamo yataha. So, there is a very beautiful shloka in Panchadashi which supports this. It says, Mana bhuvam hi bhuyasam iti prematmani ikshate. There is no one, if I ask you, that can you find me a single person who can say that I should not be? Everyone likes that I should be. Nobody will say I should not be. In the same way, most of you know this example. It comes in Mahabharata when the Yaksha asked a question to the Yudhishthira. What is the great surprise among few other questions when these five brothers, they are going to the forest and someone, one of the elder brother, I think Yudhishthira himself says, go and fetch water. So they go to a pond and there is a Yaksha over there. Yaksha is actually Dharmaraja who has come to test them. So one of the brother, he is fetching the water. Yaksha says, you need to first answer my questions. Without answering the question, if you take this water, this pond belongs to me and you will die. The brother doesn't care and he tries to fetch the water. He dies over there. In fact, it happens with four of the brothers. Then Yudhishthira goes, I am sending each one of them. None of them is coming back. What's the matter? Let me go and inquire. So he goes there, Yudhishthira. He sees four of them lying on the ground, dead. Then he also tries to fetch the water. The same Yaksha replies that you need to answer my questions. Otherwise, you also, like your brothers, you will be facing the same fate. Yudhishthira says, you please ask me the questions, I will try to answer them. So among many other questions which were asked, there was the question, Kim Ascharyam? What is the greatest surprise? Then what Yudhishthira says, Ahani ahani janaha yamalayam gachanti. Yesham sheshaha. All those, each and every day, people are going to the house of the Lord of Death, but not like Nachiketa. He has gone from this very body. But leaving this mortal body, this gross body, each one of them are going, each and every day we are seeing they are going to the house of the God of the Death. But what is happening? Shesha stavaram icchanti. The one who are remaining, they always think it is not our number. We are still here for few more years or few more decades. Shesha stavaram icchanti. Kim ascharyam atah param. What is the greatest surprise than this? In the same way, what happens? The Panchadashi says, Manabhuvam. It is never seen that anyone says, I should not be. Everybody says, I should be here. Manabhuvam hi bhuyasam prematmani ikshate. Because they love themselves so much. If I ask you, what do you love the most? You will say, oh, I have purchased last month a car, very expensive. But if I ask you, choose between yourself or the car, whom are you going to choose? Your own self, definitely. Without any doubt. So in the same way, Atmarthatve nahi preyan vishayo nasvata priyaha. All these vishayas, that which is nicely binding you, shinya bandhane, that is only for the sake of the self, but not for their own sake. Swatahe vai sarvesham atma priyatamo yataha. Because each and everyone loves themselves the most. That is. Then, yesterday we were discussing the Maitreyi and Yagyavalkya Samvada. Before starting the Vivekacūḍāmaṇi, a little story was said to show the Viveka. So then, when Maitreyi has said, if I don't get the immortality by this wealth, then what am I going to do? You just give me the knowledge which will get me the immortality. Then the instructions of Yagyavalkya continue. But there comes a stage when Yagyavalkya says, Sahovacha. Sa means Yagyavalkya says, Navare patyuh kamaya patni priya bhavati. For the sake of the wife is not dear. But for the sake of the self, the wife is dear. You can immediately imagine there are so many cases going on in the society nowadays where the husband and wife, they do not stay together. They have some differences and they go their own path. So, Navare patyuh kamaya patni priya bhavati, Atmanastu kamaya patni priya bhavati. In the same way, Navare, in this 10 alternatives it has been shown. Then at the end it is said, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Each and everything, whatever you are seeing, that is dear for the self, but not their own sake. So here you should understand this 108. Atmarthatve nahi preyan. For the sake of the self, all these things are dear. Vishayaha nasvata priyaha. They are not dear for the sake of themselves. Swatahe vai sarvesham. The self is the self of all. That is why you love yourself the most. It is said, priyatamohi yataha. Then coming to 109, it is said, Tadah atma sadanando nasya dukkham kadachana. Now immediately in the previous sloka, when it was said that everything is dear for the self, that means what? Is the self enjoying everything? Immediately remember again the example. Whenever you are in the doubt, in Vedanta, it is very easy to remember the example of the pots filled with water. In the reflection where you are seeing in the pots filled with water, does the bimba, the original, does it get any modification? If you remove a pot, if you add a pot, if you add a big pot, if you remove a small pot, there is no change in the bimba, the original. In the same way, the Atma here which is spoken of, that is Nirupadikaha, without any limitations. Upadi belongs to what? What did I say? Dhimatra upadiko. The upadi, the limitation belongs to the buddhi, the intellect, but not the Atman. Sadanandaha. What is the nature of the Atman? Eternal bliss. Then it is said, Nityo nityanam chetano chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. Even in the non-eternal things, what is eternal? That is Atman. As we have said, the pen which you are holding currently, is it eternal or non-eternal? It is non-eternal. Anitya vastu padartha. Yat kritakam tad anityam. That which is produced is non-eternal. It cannot remain eternal. But even in those non-eternal things, there is an eternal. What is that? Existence, knowledge and bliss. Asti bhati priyaha. The last two belongs to the samsara. That is nama and rupa. You are showing me this particular object. The name of the object is pen. So the name and the form. These two belongs to the samsara that is produced. The first three is asti bhati priya. If there is, you say is, existence. The pen is. I like the pen because it solves my purpose. Bhati and priya. Knowledge, existence, knowledge and bliss. If the pen gets destroyed, the existence, knowledge and bliss it still remains. It does not get destroyed. The first three belongs to the Atman. So Nityo Nityanam, Chetano Chetananam. It is the consciousness even in the inert things. There is not even a grain of salt or grain of sand which is not covered by the Atman. Previously there was a question, what was the difference between Atman and Brahma? Sometimes we do see in the scriptures, somewhere it is used the word Atman, somewhere it is used the word Brahma. So we are getting confused. That was the question in the question and answers. So there is no difference. They are interchangeably used. So Sadanando, Nasya Dukkham Kadachana. All those sorrows which you are seeing in the world, they do not pertain to the Atman. They pertain to the Upadis. They pertain to the limitations. Yat Shushupto Nirvishaya. Where do you see this? In the deep sleep, there is no material object. It's called Nirvishaya. How, you see, when you go to the dream state, what happens? There also there is the mind, the faculty. In the waking state, you have so many objects. But when you go to the dream state, are you carrying these objects with you, along with you? Even a billionaire or a millionaire, he sees himself as a poor person in dream. And even the one who is sleeping on the road, he is a poor beggar, but he seems as a millionaire in the dream. So are you carrying all this from the waking state? No. But what happens? Still there is a mind functioning in the dream state where you are creating everything. Go back to the Kathopanishad, Atharathan, Rathayogan, Srijate. There he is creating his own creation. Even he is creating the chariots and the path on which these chariots are running or walking or driven. So Rathan, Rathayogan, Srijate. Further going to this deep sleep, there is no Vishaya in the deep sleep. That is called Nirvishaya. Upanishad. You see, this is what yesterday I told. Once you study this Prasthanatrayi, and when you are going to the Praharana Granthi, all those Upanishads which you have studied, in the mind they will start blinking. The light will go on, the green light. Coming back to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there in the second chapter, first Brahmana, Ajatashatru Brahmana, there is a very beautiful story. There is a Brahmin, his name is Gargya, but he is known as Dripta Balaki. The reason Dripta is one who is filled with pride. So he approaches to the Ajatashatru, the king of Kashi. The Ajatashatru himself is a very knowledgeable person. But this Brahmin goes to the king and says, Brahmate Bravani iti, I have come to you to give you the teachings pertaining to the Brahman. The king says, okay, you are most welcome. Then the teachings start. So as soon as the Dripta Balaki says that I worship this as Brahman, the king says, no, I already know this and I know about this thing in this particular manner. It's very detailed narration over there. We are not going to go deep into that. But what happens? In the 15 mantras, Kandikas, the Dripta Balaki goes on saying that I worship Brahman, I know Brahman in this particular way. Then what happens? Ajatashatru says, no, I already know about this and this is this particular thing. Do you know anything beyond this? Then Gargya says, no, this is the only limit which I know. Then says, this is not enough to say, to speak, to talk about the Brahman. That is Nirguna Brahman, not Sopadika Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. Then Gargya says, I come to you as a disciple. The king says, it is not proper for a Brahmin to come to a Kshatriya as a disciple. You keep your own place of the Acharya, but definitely because you have come to me, I'll instruct about it to you. Then by holding his hand, because this Gargya is little bit ashamed that he has come filled with pride to talk about the Brahman to Ajatashatru, but he was unable to say so, so he is little bit ashamed. So what happens? Ajatashatru holds his hand and takes to a person who is sleeping, and then he calls him by various names. He does not wake up. Then he pushes him little bit and then he wakes up. Then the king asked, where were you and where have you come from? Do you know? So that is the bliss which is experienced in the deep sleep. Coming back here, Yat Shushupto Nirvishayaha, there is no Vishaya in the deep sleep. You are not carrying all the objects from the waking state, nor you are carrying the mind which was very active in the dream state. In deep sleep, there is no Vishaya which is binding you, but you are still experiencing the bliss. If a person who is asleep and when you wake him up next day morning or naturally when he wakes up, if you ask what he says, Sukhena aham aswapsam na kinchida vedisham. I slept very well, blissfully, joyfully. I do not know anything. But if you ask an emperor who is so rich that you do not sleep, you have all the things. If you sleep, you will lose all the material possessions which you are having. Will he agree to it? No. Each and everyone, ahar, they are moving into this deep sleep. What happens? Atra pita apita bhavati, mata amata bhavati. All the upadhis, the father becomes a non-father. By what? Because there is no upadhis, there is no limitations. The upadhis are of the intellect. The intellect is already dissolved there in the Shushupti. There is no Vishaya, that is Nirvishaya. So in deep sleep, the bliss which is being experienced is not of the material objects, Nirvishaya. Atmanando nubhuyate. What is the bliss, what is the joy, what is the happiness which is being experienced there? It's his own nature. Atma Anandaswarupaha. That is what is experienced. Shrutihi pratyaksham aitiham anumanam cha jagrati. So, is there any proof for it? It is said, yes, it is proved by the Shrutis, it is proved by the direct perception. You see, there are 6 valid means of knowledge in Vedanta. Direct perception, that is pratyaksha, anumana is inference, and then upamana is comparison. Shabda is called the words of the rishis or the Vedas, that is called Shabda. Then Arthapattihi, and Arthapati is presumption, and then the non-availability, that is Anupalabdhi. These are the 6 pramanas, valid means of knowledge. So it is said, by Shrutis it is proved. And Pratyaksha also. Pratyaksha means what? It is seen directly also. The one who is the witness, Sakshi, he knows that this does not belong to me. And Aitiham means what? Again Shabda Pramanaha. Or you can say, Iti ha asa. It was like this then. So that is not just an imagined thing. We say Ityasa and Purana. In English they say mythology, but that's not the correct word. It is not myth. It is the historical references. So you can say Mahabharata and Ramayana comes under Ityasa. In the same way, Aitiham and Anumanam cha Jagrati. Anumanam is also the inference. So, and in the waking state, you are already seeing this, that you are not carrying anything from the waking state to the deep sleep, but still you are experiencing the bliss. And if you ask someone that you already possess so much of wealth, do not go to deep sleep, he will not agree. So this is seen directly. So it's Pratyaksha Pramana. It is called Shruti, Pratyaksha, Aitiham and Anumanam. So it is said that this is the Atma Sadananda. It is a joy, the bliss in its own nature. Coming to 110, for what the whole discussion is named as Maya Nirupanam. This is the particular shloka. It is said, Avyakta namni paramesha shakti anadiravidya trigunatmika para. We will see the half of the shloka later. First, Avyakta namni. What is the name of the Maya? It is known by many names. You can say Maya, you can say Avidya, you can say Avyakta, you can say Kutastha, and many other things. So Maya is called Yama Sa Maya, that which does not exist, but still you are experiencing. That is called Maya, and it is Avyakta Namni. And how is it? It is called Paramesha Shakti. Do not consider it something lower. It is Paramesha, the potentiality of the supreme ultimate. Just now, as in the question and answers, I don't know much about the Malayalam, but I was able to pick up some Sanskrit words. Swamiji was saying that it is Saguna Nirakara. It is having the qualities, but you are not able to see any form of it. It is Saguna Nirakara. That is Paramesha Shakti. Anadi. Now you say, Swamiji, we are listening that Brahman is Anadi. How come you say the Maya or the Avidya is also Anadi? You see, there are literally when you talk about Anadi, it is beginningless. That which does not have Adi is Anadi. So there are 6 things which are beginningless. First is, it is called Jiva, Isho, Vishuddha Chit, Tatha Jiveshayorbhida, Avidya Tachitor Yoga, Shad Asmakam Anadayaha. The one where you are considering the individual soul, the individuality, Jiva. If someone asks you, where did the first Jiva come from? What was the need? There is no answer. It is beginningless. The Jiva, the first thing is Anadi. Then Ishaha. Ishaha is Ishvaraha. There is no answer. It is also beginningless. Vishuddha Chit. This is Nirguna Nirakara Brahman, without any attributes, without any form. That is, the all-pervading consciousness is called Vishuddha Chit. Tatha Jiveshayor Bhida. And the difference between the Jiva and Ishvara. If I ask you, you are coming to so many Vedanta lectures and all these things. What is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara? Jiva is having Avidya. That is Malinas Shuddha Sattvaha. Malinas Sattvaha. So where actually Sattva Guna is little bit down, but Raja and Tamaguna is prominent, that is Malina. Impure, you can say, that is Avidya, and which is controlling the Jiva. Mama Maya Duratya, Mameva Prapadyante ye Maya Metam Tarantite. But when you talk about Ishvara, Ishvara is also having a Maya. But what is that? That Shuddha Sattva, it is pure. And it is in control of the Ishvara. It is not controlling the Ishvara. It is in control of the Ishvara. Mayam tu prakritim vidyad, mayinam tu maheshwaram. So, which is controlled by Ishvara, that is Maya, which is Shuddha Sattva. So, this is the difference. And the Jiva is experiencing the individuality. Ishvara is having the all potentiality of creation, etc. These are the difference. Jiveshayor bhida. This was Avidya Tachitor Yoga. Avidya also, just like as we have discussed the Maya, in the same way Avidya also, it is also Anadi. Tachitor Yoga, and the connection with the Vishuddha Chit. How come there was a connection with the supreme consciousness of the Maya? nobody can say. And Shadasmakam Anadaha. So now you are in a great complicated situation. You were saying that in Vedanta there is only one, that is Brahman. Now you have said 6 things which are Anadi. But thankfully, gracefully, the Acharyas have said all the 5, they are Santaha, that which has an end. It's called Antena Sahita iti Santaha. Anadi Santaha, that which has no beginning, that is Anadi, but thankfully they have the end. This 5, apart from the Vishuddha Chit, apart from the ultimate, supreme, all-pervading consciousness, the other 5. The individuality, where does it go into the deep sleep? Do you feel the individuality in the deep sleep? No. So it has ended every day. That means what? You see, Shushupti is an example what you can have as the result of being into the state of always realizing yourself. That is Jnana Avastha. That is, this Sushupti gives you an example. Otherwise, nobody will believe that there is a state where you can forget your individuality. So, the scripture shows that this is an example. Even though it is covered by ignorance, tamaha, parichinnaha, but still you are forgetting the individuality. So, the jivatvam has gone in deep sleep. So, it is not without an end. It has an end. In the same way, all the 5 which are discussed, they have an end. But Anadir Anantaha is only Brahman. Anadi Santaha are these 5 things. In this way, Anadir Avidya Trigunatmika Para. It is of 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamaha. Just as we have discussed, Maya is Shuddha Sattva. That means Shuddha Sattva Pradhana. Primarily, it has Sattva Guna, Maya, and in control of Ishvara. But it has Raja and Tama also. And Avidya is primarily Raja and Tama, but it has Sattva Guna also, which is controlling the Jiva, the individual. In the same way, Trigunatmika Para. Karyanumeya. How will you know about it? You cannot see. Saguna Nirakaraha. Just like what said. It has attributes, but there is no form. So how will you see? You can only infer. Going back to the 6 pramanas, what is there? Anumana. Karyanumeya. You can only infer through its effect. The cause can be inferred through its effect. Just like when you see a smoke, what do you infer? There is a fire, then only you are seeing a smoke. Even though you are not able to see the fire, you are able to see the smoke, you are inferring that there is a fire. In the same way, by seeing the effect, you are inferring the cause. That is called Karyanumeya. Sudhiyaiva Maya. It can be understood only by the person whose intellect is purified. Sudhiyaiva Maya. Yaya Jagadit Sarvamidam Prasuyate. Through this Maya, the whole creation is being created. Suyate Prani Prasavane. Suya Prani Prasavane. As said, each and every Sanskrit word comes from a root. So when you see the whole creation, Suya means what? This is a root, Prani Prasave. All this creation is being created just like the Maya. You see, going back to the Mandukya Karikas written by the great grand guru of Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya ji, that is Gaudapadacharya. So it is said, Yatha swapne dvayabhasam spandate mayaya manaha, tatha jagrad dvayabhasam spandate mayaya manaha. Just like in the dream state, there is no duality. What happens? The mind itself creates the chariots and the path on which these chariots are moving. But because of the Maya, you see, the mind creates everything. But through Maya, through ignorance and through illusion, you are seeing that there are many various things. The same example you need to bring into your waking state. There is nothing apart from the Brahman, all-pervading consciousness, but only because of the ignorance, you are seeing many different things. Then it is said, Anadi Maya Supto Yada Jivaha Prabudhyate Ajam Anidram Aswapnam Advaitam Budhyate Tada. So this jiva, the individual soul, is traveling from births to births together. Yesterday we were discussing mriti bijam bhavet janma, coming back to this. The day, the moment this gross body is formed, the same moment the seed for its destruction, that is mrityu, is already been planted. And then the same way, as soon as the gross body is destroyed, the seed for the next birth is planted already. Mritiru bijam bhavet janma, janma bijam bhavet tatha. Ghatiyantravad anashrantaha. If you see, in olden days, many of you must have seen the water wheel which was in the agricultural land. It goes on and on and on and fetching water and bringing, that is called water wheel. Ghatiyantravad. Or you can say the watch which you are tying on your hand, wrist. That is, it goes on. If you see the seconds, it goes on and comes back to the 12 where it is written. So Ghati Yantravad Anashrantaha Bambramiti Aharnisham. This particular individual soul goes on into births together. How long will it go? As long as is not awake. Awake means not coming to the waking state, but Paramarthika awake. As long as it does not realize his own self, so long he has to travel. The journey is very long and he is not having any knowledge how far he has to go. So when you get the opportunity, just like Iha Cheda Vedid Ata Satyamasti, in this very birth, you have to realize your own self. Otherwise, what happened? This Maya will take you from birth to birth together. And the 1/11th, this is a very, very famous definition of Maya. Sannapi sanna ubhayatmikano. You see, I was assigned only 110, but the 111 is very famous pertaining to the Maya. You cannot say that it is real. If it is real, then it cannot be destroyed. The very definition of Sat is Trikala Badhyatvam Satyatvam. It cannot be obstructed, it cannot be destroyed in the past, present and future. That is called Sat. Just like the Brahman or Atman, neither it can be destroyed in the waking, dream or deep, nor past, present and future. That is called Satchid Ananda. The Maya is not such. So you cannot say that it is Sat. Okay, we do agree. But that means, is it Asad? If it would be Asad, why are you experiencing it? So it is called Sanna Asanna Ubhayatmikano. Not only that, whether you can say it is real or non-real, or you can say real and non-real both at the same time. Is it possible to have two opposite qualities in the same Adhikarana, Adhisthana? It is Sat also, it is Asat also. That is not possible. Ubhayatmikano. Bhinnapi bhinna ubhayatmikano. You cannot say that it is different from Brahman. As soon as you say it is different from Brahman, what will happen? Duality will come. And athatasya bhayam bhavati. As soon as there is something else, what will happen? The fear of death and birth will come again. So, bhinna, you cannot say that it is bhinna. You cannot say abhinna. If it is non-different from Brahman, then what will happen? Brahman will have the Maya. That is not possible. So, bhinna pi bhinna ubhayatmikano. It is not of the nature that it is different or non-different. You cannot say that. Sangapi ananga. It does not have any parts. Angena sahita iti anga. Sangaha. Sangapi ananga. Nor it does not have the parts. Ananga. That which does not have the parts. So, anirvachaniya maya. It is indescribable. The only thing for its existence is the experience which we are having each and every day. That is called karyanumeya. There is no other explanation where you can explain the Maya. Only by seeing its effects, you can say that there is Maya. How to get rid of it? That is, Mameva prapadyante ye mayametam tarantite. Here Lord Krishna is not saying you come into my surrenderance. He is saying you realize your own self. When he says aham atma gudakesha sarvabhutashaya sthita, means what? He is not talking about his own form with 2 legs, 4 hands, or chaturbahu and all these things. He is saying, I am the great being who is dwelling in all of them. Aham atma. Atma, we have already seen the definition, gudakesha. In the same way, when he says mam eva prapadyante ye, mam means what? Who realizes his own true nature, then only he can break this cycle and come out of the clutches of the Maya, which is strongly holding us. So with this, we end today's talk. Om Tat Sat. Thank you.